was a very cold morning this morning. I think it got down to 41 degrees overnight. And I don't have the heat on in the house. And I think I mentioned this over the summer, that it's 10 to 15 degrees colder in the house than it is outside, which on a hot day is wonderful. But on a cold day, I needed that fire this morning. And I ran it right up until about 1, 2 o'clock this afternoon because it's still pretty chilly in the house. It's beautiful outside. It's in the 70s and just what you'd expect for a beautiful, almost fall day. But the cold this morning really got me into nesting mode, and I've got to be getting ready in the house for the winter, and it started me thinking about all these house projects and firewood and furniture I need to build or get in, and I had to call a timeout because I still have stuff I've got to do out here. So I'm trying to knock some of those out. I have a bunch of stuff in the refrigerator that needs to get planted out, and some of that are the mushrooms. Now, you saw me plant the wine caps the other day. Today I've got morels, which have a special memory for me because we would go morel hunting when I was growing up in Michigan. My brother and I didn't like to eat them, but my dad did, and we really liked looking for them, so it worked out really well between us. So I want to have morels growing on the property somewhere. So I've got 2 buckets of morels. The only problem is because I ordered them in February, and they've been in my refrigerator ever since. So it might even have been later than that. I might have ordered them before Christmas. I may have ordered them before Christmas. So they've been in my refrigerator a very long time. And unfortunately, my refrigerator got very cold. So this chunk is actually frozen. So I don't have high expectations for this bucket, and really not for the other one either, because if that one got that cold, the other one, even though it didn't freeze, still got pretty darn cold. But I'm not going to grow anything if I don't put them out, so I might as well take the shot. Morels like wooded, leafy detritus to grow in, especially after a fire, which is why I added ashes from my fireplace that I've been saving all winter. So I did 3 parts sawdust and 2 parts wood ash to the package of spawn and mix those up. I've got this big tree. I haven't been out here to identify any of these trees, so I'm not sure exactly what that is because I can't differentiate the leaves on it from the leaves of everything around. So we'll take a look at that when we go over there. But I love this big tree, so I want to try and put some stuff around that. The morels especially like birch trees, so I do have a number of birches. You can tell birch, I don't know if you can see that little tree right there next to the maple tree. That smooth bark tree is a birch tree, I'm pretty sure. I know there are birch trees up that way. So I think I'm going to do 1 bucket, including the frozen stuff, up around this tree, and I'm going to take the other bucket over towards the further edge of the property. that wasn't pretty, but they got the job done. And now I'll just forget about them for a couple of years. And we'll see if anything comes up in 2 or 3 years. Give it a chance to get established. I'm kind of surprised at how dead this hill looks. I mean, the trees are here, obviously, but it's very dry looking, and there's not a lot of undergrowth. So I'm not sure what's going on here that's causing that. But if nothing else, it gives me an area to work on when I need a new project, which is not this year. I did find a wild turkey feather. So I thought that was very cool. So I'll take this in and put it on my altar. A gift from the land spirits, as it were. So it's very, you can see it's very rough back here. I think they were running their pigs back here. So it's all dug up. There's a lot of deadfall because a lot of these trees are dead or dying. I don't know if it's they got bugs or they're just past their prime, but it's, hey, it's free firewood. And I may run sheep or something out here eventually once I have a little more control over it. I'm more worried. I know there are groundhog holes out here, and I would worry about a sheep putting her foot in it and breaking a leg, which we don't want. So, all right. It's funny how the jobs you put off the longest really are the easiest to get done, because that took me maybe 15 minutes from setting up from the time I started setting up those buckets. So, all right, next thing I need to do, I wanted to dig potatoes today, but I don't know if I'm going to dig potatoes today. I may save that for tomorrow. But I do need to go and thin out the beets. So let's go see what's going on in the garden. that 2 hours ago I was freezing. I don't know if it was Carl Sandburg or my mother who said that firewood warms you twice, once when you chop it and once when you burn it, and that's certainly true. I'm setting myself a goal starting today that I have to move 1 wagon full of firewood every day, which isn't going to be a blast, but it'll keep me warm. So I do need to split another couple of logs for my kindling here, and then the rest will go out on the porch. And it's much more convenient for me to have it there in the winter, so I don't have to slug through the snow if I realize that my wood pile's gotten too low, unless I need to chop stuff. And yes, I know I am not the best wood splitter in the world. That's why I have a manual hydraulic wood splitter on the porch. I'm just waiting for my handyman to come and claim his skid steer, because that's where I want to set the splitter up. So hopefully this week. Supposedly he's going to come sometime this week. And I think that's going to do it for today. Like I said, the shoulder season is tricky because there's indoor stuff that you are starting to think about doing, but you still have all your outdoor stuff to do. I don't know how much you noticed in the garden. I do have at least 1 pumpkin and 1 acorn squash that seem to be doing very well. The beets are thin, the carrots aren't coming up, and that got pretty dry, so I don't know if they're going to come up. I'm watering them now, so hopefully that'll save them. The squashes are pretty much toast. I need to go through and pull the rest of those. And I have a ton of green tomatoes, and it's just a question of, are they going to ripen fast enough? It is September 4th today. Our first frost date is around September 25th. So we're coming down to the end of it, but I'm just going to leave everything in the ground for the most part as long as I can, except the potatoes. We're going to go in and get the potatoes tomorrow, come hell or high water. So I hope you come back for that. Thanks for coming, and I will see you tomorrow. Knit 3. 1, 2. 3, yarn over, cable 1 over 3 left. Welcome down to the lower pasture, which is a heck of a lot more overgrown than I thought it was. So we tried walking the dogs down here and they didn't want to go because it was so overgrown. This grass is as tall as I am. I'm 5'1". So the work I planned to do down here, which I thought was going to be easy, is not going to be so easy at all. But it's got to get done, so I'm going to do it. What I have is I have 4 river locust that I want to put in here to start filling in this area that floods in the winter. And then I've got 5 different kinds of willow that I'm also going to put in here. It's very hard to dig, not because of rocks for a change, but because the grasses and weeds are so thick on the ground that it's hard to get through them to get to the dirt. So what I'm doing is I'm just shoving my shovel into the ground and then wedging the willow cuttings into that hole and then stepping on it. Willow is really easy to plant because really that's all you need to do. Now, if you're being very conscientious about it, you should be clearing all the weeds and mulching it, and like we've been doing with the other plantings I've been doing, do a cardboard base and the compost and the mulch and all of that. I've got 25 trees, well, plus the river locust, so almost 30 trees to plant down here, and I don't have time for that. So I'm just sticking them in the ground, and what decides to grow will grow. Now, like I said, willow's really easy because you just get these cuttings. They're just sticks, and you can see the little, not blossoms, but the little sprouts starting. In fact, I've got one that's actually sprouted that doesn't want to focus, so there we go. And all you have to do is make sure you stick it in the ground the right side up. If you stick it in upside down, it won't grow, but if you do it the other way around, it'll grow. So that's all I'm doing. Shove the shovel in, shove the stick in, move on. I don't have my tripod because I thought I would be able to use Josh as a tripod, but he's taken the dogs back up to the house. So I will show you the sticks after the fact, but I can't really show you the how-to while I'm doing it. So, but let's get this work done. Well, this is definitely going to be a hit or miss project. It's late in the season. I'm not treating them right, but you can see behind me there's a bunch of wild willow, well, wild, growing here and here. So willow likes it. And when I got down through the roots of the grass, the soil was nice and moist and loamy, very soft. So if it can root, I think they'll do well. But like I've said before, the plant that doesn't get put in the ground absolutely will not grow. So it's worth it just to give it a shot. And if it takes, it'll be good because it'll start to fill in this open space. It'll provide habitat. I don't know if you can see so well. There's spots under the willow trees where I know deer are getting into and making homes. I've seen rabbits down here. I actually saw a family of ducks looking under this one early this spring, but that was when there was still a lot of water on the ground here. So I think they probably chose wisely not sticking around. All right, I now have to work my way back up to the house through this impenetrable thicket. But let me take you by some of the apple trees and try some of the apples with you. I was talking to one of the guys at the local cidery this past weekend because I'm hoping to work with them to use my apples. And he mentioned that they were very surprised that all of the apples are dropping a lot earlier this year than they usually do. And that's certainly the case here. As we're walking around, we were finding the trees that were so heavy with apples, they're now all on the ground. So, but I wanted to grab some of these and try them. So let me grab one. Hang on. All right. So I've got this one. Just a yellowish apple. Not too sweet, not too dry. It's not a bad eating apple. It's probably better for cooking, but considering that these trees haven't been tended in so long, it was pretty good. So that's type 1. And if you know any of these apple types, let me know. There's only one that I'm 90% sure I know what it is, but I'll point that out when we get to it. This one is very hard. Not as sweet. I wouldn't say it's dry. It's not tart, but it's not juicy either. So I think this would be a really good cider apple. Probably a very good cooking apple. These ones, I'm not so sure about. They're very soft, almost mealy inside. And not just because I picked it up off the ground. But they're a nice kind of pink, rosy pink inside. But there's not a lot of flavor to them. Which is too bad because it's so prolific. The ground is just covered with apples. So if we'd been out here probably even 2 weeks ago, we'd have had tons of apples. But that's okay. This is year 1, we're learning. And I may come back and salvage what I can. I'm thinking about ordering a crusher and a cider press just to process some of these apples for myself. Again, I thought I had another couple of weeks, so I may not do that this year. We'll see what's going on as of this weekend. But all right, we got a couple more trees to check out. This is another yellow apple tree. It looks similar to the one we tried over there, but these are a lot sweeter and fairly soft. And this is the tree that I showed you in the spring that is split in two. So it needs a good haircut. So I think if I come back this winter and cut out some of these under branches, we might have better production next year. All right. This is hard work. These apples look very similar to the one we just saw on the previous tree, but they're a little smaller, so maybe they're more closely related to that far one. No, they don't taste as good as the close one. They're soft and kind of bland, almost like the pink one. The pink one was actually more sweet. So again, these might be better as cider apples just because they're going to give up a lot of juice, but they don't have a whole lot of flavor to them. This is all mint. And it smells amazing walking through here. This is the tree that I wanted to taste test for you, but I think I got the only apple that's close to the ground when we were going through the first time. I swear this is a Macintosh tree. They taste exactly like a Macintosh, but the only fruits I can find are way up at the top. So I'll have to be more diligent next year about getting in there and getting those. I got one more tree that's along the stream down from the pond. Let's see if we can find any fruit on here. So again, it's kind of a greenish yellow. Very hard, very sour. So I think these are definitely cider apples. Yeah, I'm not going to finish eating that one. Sorry about that. So, given the property as a whole, there's a lot of different flavors going on. So I think if I collected from all over the property and put it all through a press, I'd get a cider with a lot of different notes to it. So maybe not this year, but next year, maybe? I'll be more prepared earlier in the season. I guess because we had such a hot, dry summer, surprisingly, considering how often I was complaining about the rain, the apples did not hold on long into the season. So if the experts are surprised that the apples are already dropping, a newbie like me can't be expected to know anything. So, and fortunately or unfortunately, at least there's plenty of food on the ground for the deer, although we didn't see many deer paths either, and I wonder if the overgrowth is too dense for them to get through, because I was seeing them come through here all winter, no problem. And of course, then there's lots of food on the ground for them. There are lots of hidey holes under the trees for them to find shelter. I did see a couple of bed down spaces for them, so maybe they're coming through here and just not coming up to the house. But there's a couple of things I need to do some research on, and I have a couple more trees coming. Actually, I have quite a few more trees coming, because this area here is much drier than that area over there. So I have a couple of huckleberry trees coming for here and some shrubs to go in to kind of fill in some of these gaps. But I think I want to leave this fairly open, and I might see if I can get somebody to come out and brush hog this. If not this year, then in the spring. And just start to try and keep this as open land and grow the rest of it up as wild. All right, I need to get back to the house. I still have to do some bushwhacking to get there. All right, I'll see you guys in a little bit. We got one more big job to do today. All right, one haircut later, and it's time to go do another job. We need to get those potatoes out of the ground and see what, if anything, I have left. Again, this was my first time growing potatoes, so I'm not sure what to expect. So let's go find out what's under the ground. So our next step is we need to spread them out to kind of dry off and cure so the skins get a little stronger so they'll survive storage better. The other thing we have to do is pick out all of the potatoes that the voles were eating, because the voles have been eating very well this summer, and I'm gonna really have to think about how to manage the vole population. Whether I'm gonna put wire mesh down, or theoretically diatomaceous earth works really well to keep them out. But because I have the straw mounded up, it gives the perfect habitat for voles. And I'm hoping, I tried to catch some video of the one that we scared out of the bed while we were digging them up. So we're gonna go through the white potatoes first and separate out all the ones that got et. And you saw the bucket of reds. If I get half that bucket as edible potatoes, I'm gonna be feeling really lucky. So let's get sorting.
Drive-by
yes.
Nibble.
I don't like the taste of that one. The terroir is what I prefer.
The reds are better from the other bed.
Chook chook.
Alright guys, here we go. I'll toss.
Spread them around a little bit. So we want them digging all over. Chook, chook, chooks. But I don't know this big thing. Who's gonna be the brave first one? Come on, James, lead the way.
Well, there ain't nothing left in the bucket, bud. Already tossed
Yeah, but
it
it's
out.
orange. Orange means good things. Good job, Henry.
He's a chunky boy.
That takes care of the potatoes. It's very heartbreaking to see how many of them we lost to the voles. It's probably more than half the harvest. So I'm definitely going to have to work on that for next year. I'm actually going to have to work on it for this fall because I want to put the garlic in that same bed. And I don't know if they'll mess with garlic, but I don't want to necessarily take that chance. So I may be ordering diatomaceous earth. But if any of you have any ideas on how to keep voles out of potatoes and garlic, please mention them in the comments below. I could really use the help. I raked it all out and covered it loosely with straw just to protect the soil for the worms and the microbes that are in that soil. That soil's looking great. So I'm very happy with how the season went in that bed, aside from the voles. So like I said, the garlic's gonna go in there, but that doesn't go in until mid-October. So I've got time for that. I need to take these squash out. They're done. I'm done with them, so they've got to come out. I think I've got to empty out the cucumber bed as well, because it's just not producing. It's taking up space. So I'd like to get it cleaned up so I can see the parsnips in there and make sure that they've got enough room to grow properly. So a couple more gardening chores to do, but they're not going to get done tonight. I'm going to go inside and cook up some of these potatoes and a hamburger and have my dinner. So I hope you have a lovely evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.